Hey guys, Blue here. And finally, after all dueling has done, I'm going to go through and show you guys our deck list for the Duelist Kingdom Pegasus deck. So, if you're coming to this video out of nowhere and you haven't been following our releases in our wave, we just finished up, the release of several decks from Duelist Kingdom, and games corresponding to the anime based with the characters we have. So finally, I'm gonna go through Pegasus deck, and if you've been around on this channel for a while, we had a deck that was called Hybrid Pegasus. So we say hybrid because it's when we mix decks from multiple seasons, or specifically Duelist Kingdom plus some other season, just because of how different Duelist Kingdom was. We get less concerned if we mix, decks from two seasons where the deck was similar in both seasons, and the seasons played in similar formats, as opposed to Duelist Kingdom where everything was just so different. The point being that deck was mostly Duelist Kingdom, but had a little bit from the Pyramid of Light movie, a little bit from Waking the Dragons when we see Pegasus deck. Nothing from GX because we don't cross series at the moment anyway. But we got rid of that deck to build the Duelist Kingdom deck, because again it was predominantly Duelist Kingdom, so we just decided to build Duelist Kingdom, because it would be weird to have had basically a Duelist Kingdom deck and a half Duelist Kingdom deck as well. So we have one Pegasus deck now. That old deck is gone. So anyway, I'm gonna go through the deck, of course, and explain to you some of the changes we made. Obviously, like, Fusion Monster, White Sticker, what does that mean if you're new? So, first up, going through normal monsters is Bakura Box. We play a lot of cards the way they were in the anime. Some, a lot, not all of them. Bakura Box is one. In the anime, for Pegasus, it was a normal monster. It was not a fusion. So ours is a fusion, and some people out there, you could probably put it in there, you put in the fusion pieces, but we felt that a bit cumbersome because it uses cards he never played. So we wanted to just go straight to the point. We had the same thing with Flame Swordsman, because Joey always subbed up Flame Swordsman, and now it's a fusion for us, and you'd have to put in some really, off kind of cards for him, like Flame Manipulator, just to be able to make Joey's signature fusion. So we treat them as normal monsters. We have a Google Docs with all our changes to our cards. That's linked below. So that will say Bakura Box just says normal monster. Plus, if you watch our duels and the way we play it, you can kind of figure, okay, he drew it in his hand, he summoned it from his hand. In the anime, that's how it was, so, we're rolling with it. 2, Dark Rabbit. So, obviously, Pegasus had his cartoon theme. He loved his funny bunny. Not every card, though, falls into that category. Illusionist, Faceless Mage. We saw him use against Yugi in their Shadow Realm duel on the VCR, because you put yourself in a VHS and you ship it to some guy and you duel him like in real time. I don't know. Shadow magic is kind of not my thing. So going on, 2 Red Archery Girl. A lot, but not all the cards are in 2 copies, depending on, how we felt they related. But a lot of the cards are 2 copies. There was a lot of cards Pegasus had that weren't printed, mostly spells and traps. But the thing with, having enough of 2 copies is that it does give some balance to the deck, because, you still have a similar ratio. If you have 2 of this, you have 2 of that, it still makes a 1-to-1 ratio. Except for stuff, again, like Ryu Ran, which is in 1, mostly because of its higher attack and higher defense, kept it at 1 as opposed to 2 of those Red Archery Girls. 1 Parrot Dragon, also because we felt it wasn't as prominent. It was an important card, but it's not one of the Toon pieces, I guess, which we tried to emphasize on. As well as 2 Thousand Eyes Idol, because once Pegasus's Toon World fell, he switched his theme drastically to a very dark Shadow Game match. 2 Toon Alligator. So again, it's Toon in the name. It's not part of that Toon archetype. but it's a fun card. You know, it's got one of the better defenses in his deck as far as a lot of his cards, though. And that's all the normal monsters. So, you know, we get a mix of everything. And same thing. So, starting off the effect monsters is Blue Eyes Toon Dragon. Now, if you had watched our Duelist Kingdom games like Kaiba versus Pegasus, we did have all the Toon monsters errated at the time to omit the life point cost, because the problem was, if you watch the anime, they didn't have a life point cost of those because they had so few life points to start with that paying 1,000 for Toon World and 500 to attack with a Toon monster is almost all your life points, and you get very little, you know, out of that. We did change that though into what has become one of our, so same document, the errata document, at the very bottom lists the rules we're playing by for Duelist Kingdom. So instead of changing a whole bunch of card effects, which would apply specifically to the Duelist Kingdom duels only, and not any future versions of Pegasus decks, where we see the same Toon monsters, we created just some add-on rules. So life point costs were omitted. That makes it fine. So break control is like the anime, Toon World is like the anime, without having to actually say this card's different in this duel, but not that duel. And then, you know, then there's white stickers everywhere, and then our list gets longer because we're saying, you know, under exceptions, this card does this versus that. So that was one thing. The other thing was that, you know, monsters cannot attack directly, including by card effect. So now Blue Eyes can't just go for game instantly by attacking directly. And that monsters like Toon monsters are treated as normal summons. These are actually really old versions of the cards still. This is the Pegasus deck version. The new versions have been highly refined because these cards have been so confusing throughout the ages that Toons are special summons in the proper TCG format. Toons are special summons, but you still have to attribute the number of monsters you need to summon them. So when you see us play with Pegasus deck in his duel against Yugi and any future games, Toons will be summoned like a normal summon. Toons will be able to attack an opponent, but not directly. There is no life point cost, and they are still destroyed when Toon World is destroyed as well. Because those were key things we saw in the anime that we want to make sure that we definitely can get a hand on, but not so much that where it kind of conflicts with too many different card format changes, I guess I should say. So it's more of, if we're playing a Duelist Kingdom duel, you'll know by life points right away, of course. And we'll have a list of things of the do's and don'ts, which we do try to keep as simple as possible as well. It's not like there's a whole convoluted list, but we want to do it. Also, the problem too was none of the Toon monsters were actual cards in Duelist Kingdom. They were all morphed versions of actual monsters. Rairan, Red Archery Girl, Summon Skull, and Blue Eyes White Dragon. So the fact that we have the Toon cards is unique. So we figured we would treat them with normal summon as well, because if you were to normal summon a monster, it would become a Toon monster. We just normal summon the Toon monster, the final product, but it still is the same thing. So I know I'm talking a lot. I just want to clear it up because we did it two different ways in the wave, because as the wave went on and we got feedback from you guys, or sometimes just lack of feedback that no one really seemed to be opposed to certain things, as well as me and Delta trying to actually refine that process, because Duelist Kingdom is tricky. So we're at a point where we're really happy with the way stuff works. Basically, we're not stickering every card. We're not having different versions of the cards. We feel like cards are playing the way they need to for the games to be accurate and interesting. So I'm moving on now for real. So 2 Dark Eyes Illusionist, the first of a series of monsters Pegasus had created for his duel with Yugi, because he just, you know, you knew it was going to happen, that were darker themed and had the Millennium Eye on their face, head. So Dragon Piper is another one of our original erratas that we did, you know, originally from the get-go. Because in the anime, Dragon Capture Jar took dragon monsters and it sealed it inside itself. Okay. Ours puts them in defense mode. So they're similar in the fact that they do kind of, to an extent, neutralize a dragon. without getting into anything kind of weird like making it an equip spell or banishing it wouldn't be bad. But the point is the dragon monsters are now kind of out of the way. The printed Dragon Piper just destroys, the Dragon Capture Jar, and then just returns the dragons as they were. Pegasus's Dragon Piper was like a Swami, which summoned the dragon, the Blue Eyes, to his field. So when we play a Dragon Piper, it's not a flip effect; it's a summon, and you can basically take control of a dragon that has been affected by Dragon Capture. So it gets the same point across. It plays that way it does instead of just canceling out Dragon Capture Jar. And then Jigen Bakudan, Mangurayuran, Toon Mermaid. So again, they're all unchanged, but it'll be the Duelist Kingdom rules, which when we play Duelist Kingdom, which will state how these cards perform. Also, you notice there's 2 Mangurayuran, 2 Toon Mermaid, 1 Blue Eyes Toon Dragon, and 1 Toon Summon Skull. Again, Toons were never monster cards in, actual cards in Duelist Kingdom. Later on, of course, they were when they started playing by actual rules. But we want to give Pegasus 2 copies of the Toon monsters that he actually had owned the cards for, and 1 of each of the cards for which he had stolen that monster. So Yugi Summon Skull, and then Kaiba's Blue Eyes, obviously. So that's why those are in 1 or 2. And then 2 copies of Relinquished, his Ritual Trump monster. Again, going off the same theme as Dark Eyes Illusionist. They have the similar body style, that Millennium Eye. And Relinquished really coming in handy a lot, actually, to, just snatch his opponent's monster. And then, of course, get the attack boost. So the attack boost from that monster is great, but also you can remove an opponent's monster. But again, there's no direct attacks, so that does limit you to an extent. 2 of the corresponding Black Illusion Ritual. 2 of Mimicat, or Doppelganger in the anime. Mimicat for us because there had been a pre-existing card called Doppelganger, and Konami just printed this with a different name, then rather change that one and give this one's anime name. So anyway, it does the same thing. If you have a Toon monster, if you have Toon World, take a card from your opponent. So it's a great effect, a little conditional, but in this deck it's not that hard to have Toons out. So 2 polymerization. I will tell you now that there is only 1 Thousand Eyes Restrict. So why 2 polymerizations? It gives you the ability to see the card more frequently, so it increases the chances to make the fusion. So with 2 Relinquished, 2 Thousand Eyes Idle, and 2 polymerization, you have a better chance of being able to make that 1 fusion because you have 2 of all the pieces. 1 copy of Shine Palace because it really only works with Blue Eyes Toon Dragon. There's nothing to actually work with around Toon World, despite what it looked like in the anime and despite what the picture kind of portrays of a nice upgrade. 3 copies of Toon World, the only card to be in 3 because of how essential it is to his deck, and because so many of his monsters, well, 6, require it to be summoned. We want to make sure he definitely had enough copies to use it. And of course, there's no Toon table of contents to search it because he didn't play in Duelist Kingdom. We saw that card later. So us building the deck off cards he used actively in Duelist Kingdom, 3 Toon World helps him get the consistency to see it. And again, according to our take on the rules, there is no life point cost. So essentially you just play Toon World, which says, hi, I'm on the field now. And then the rest of the Toons come out to the party. So that's the whole spell card lineup. It's not bad. It's not, what it could be if they printed more cards. But it's still good enough that we built a deck for him. And we like this deck. It's a fun deck. Toons have always been kind of fun to play, even though originally they were very convoluted in the wording. So 2 of the Dragon Capture Jar, again, that's unchanged. It's fine. It neutralizes a dragon to, an extent. It's Dragon Piper that comes in and makes it your own. And then 2 of Gorgon's Eye. So it's a shame we don't have cards like Tears of a Mermaid. But, we have enough to build the deck. It looks like Pegasus. It feels like Pegasus. It really is a fun deck. This deck could be played in other formats. It's not exclusive to Duelist Kingdom. Unlike, say, Bandit Keith. He has 3 level 4 monsters, and then the rest are 5 and up. So, this deck could be played in other formats. We're going to keep it in Duelist Kingdom. Last card, an actual fusion monster, Thousand Eyes Restrict. So the main trump of Pegasus' deck, outside of his Tomb World, which he used to really try to, put the pressure on Yugi in combination with Jig and Bakudon, and Magician of Black Chaos is what came in and saved Yugi and ended their game. So, a lot of nostalgia right there from the anime. Pegasus' Duelist Kingdom deck, a lot of cool cards, a lot of fun cards. Great against, Yugi, Kaiba. All of those Kingdom decks seem to play well together for the most part. So, I think that's just about all I have to say. The Duelist Kingdom Wave's been a lot of fun. The new decks we have are great. More Duelist Kingdom to come at some point in the future. Again, I'm not going to say when. Delta and I have a lot of, a lot more content we want to bring to the channel. And it's all a matter of, timing it. If you saw the Deck Expo, you know what I'm about to say. If you have not seen, go find a video we have called the Deck Expo. It came out last summer. And it outlines our future plans, so you know that this wave, when this was going to happen. When the start date was anyway, not every video for video. And now, finishing up Duelist Kingdom, GX is what comes out next. However, Delta and I are changing the lineup a little bit. A video will be coming out next that will outline our changes. We're making a few amendments to what we had scheduled then, which we said, back then too. If something was needed to change, we'd tell you guys. We change it. We have a lot of cool stuff still to come, so keep watching for more new decks, more duels. YGO Anime Games out.